Ambawastich Tanse, and good morning, everyone. I'm joined today by General Manager of Infrastructure Services, Michael Thompson. Since we announced the change to Stage 2 outdoor water restrictions last Thursday morning, our water services team has been monitoring the Bears Paw feeder main and the city's entire water network very carefully. Over the last 4 days, things appeared to be running smoothly until last night. This morning, we learned that there have been some issues with water intake pumps at both the Bears Paw and Glenmore treatment facilities because of the hot weather. There have also been a total of 3 wire snaps that were detected over the weekend. Now, none of these are near the site of the original feeder main break. Until we are able to resolve the pump issues, we will be remaining in Stage 2 outdoor water restrictions. As we have said many times before, this work of restoring water service requires careful attention to all conditions within the network. To ensure that we are able to continue water service to homes and businesses, we are exercising caution at this time. As a reminder of what Stage 2 outdoor water restrictions mean to us, you are able to use a sprinkler or sprinkler system for up to 1 hour per week. Odd-numbered homes have the choice of Thursdays or Sundays, and even-numbered homes can choose between Wednesday and Saturday. You can also use a hose with a trigger nozzle at any time to water gardens, trees, shrubs, and new grass. If you visit calgary.ca, there's complete information about how we are managing this water situation, as well as details on Stage 2 outdoor water restrictions. I'd like to thank all of you for your patience, your flexibility, and your understanding as we continue to navigate this water situation. I understand that routine changes to many of our regular summer gardening and outdoor activities has been inconvenient and difficult at times. Your efforts and your sacrifices have not gone unnoticed. We did also have an incident on Friday that created issues for some residents and businesses in Montgomery. It was a smaller water main break unrelated to the Bears Paw feeder main, creating flooding and disruption in water service. Crews were able to remove water from the site to excavate and repair the pipe quickly, with the repair work having been completed yesterday and water service being restored. Today, there will be paving in this area, which is around the 5100 block of Bowness Road, and that will start to ease some of the traffic closures. This past weekend was also a hot one, with temperatures in the 30s, and as a result, we saw an uptick in water use, with 648 million liters of water used yesterday, which was predicted and it was planned for. The last few days have seen water use in the low to mid 600 million liters range, and it's important to recognize that if we did not have restrictions at this time, that usage would be closer to about 680 million liters. I'm now going to turn things over to General Manager Michael Thompson, who will give you more detail on what we learned in the early hours of this morning, as well as the ongoing monitoring of our water network.
Thank you, Mayor, and hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us this morning for an update on our progress to restoring our water distribution system. First off, I'm happy to report, as the Mayor said, that repairs to the water main break in the 5100 block of Bowness Road Northwest are complete. I'd like to thank crews who worked hard during extreme heat to ensure that commercial and residential customers have safe and reliable drinking water. While this incident was located near the Bears Paw South feeder main, it was on a much smaller 10-inch cast iron pipe. It did not impact the flow through the feeder main. Since we started bringing the feeder main back in service, we have been carefully watching the pipe's performance. We have applied a lot of caution as we have increased the flow of water through the pipe to try to minimize pressure spikes that can cause stress on the pipe. Over the weekend, we heard 3 additional wire snaps. We have now heard a total of 7 wire snaps since we have brought the pipe back into service. We expect to hear wire snaps along the length of the pipe. As you may recall, the pre-stressed wire wraps around the pipe approximately 350 times per 16-foot segment of pipe, so individual wire snaps are not a concern. It's when we have a higher concentration of snaps of individual segments of pipes that we become concerned. 2 weeks ago, we were able to increase the flow of water through the feeder main to about 55% of its maximum capacity. At 55% flow, we were able to supply enough water so that people could resume normal water use normal indoor water use, while moving to Stage 3 outdoor water restrictions. Last Monday, we turned on another pump at the Bearspaw Water Treatment Plant and increased the flow of water again. We reached 70% flow last week, with the pipe continuing to respond well, and this gave us confidence to move to Stage 2 water restrictions last Thursday. Throughout this event, we have been moving slowly and cautiously, making sure that we are not putting undue stress on the system and that we are in a good position to meet the required demand. As the Mayor said this morning, I have news to share that demonstrates why this approach has been important. Last night, we began experiencing some issues with our pumps at both the Glenmore and Bearspaw Water Treatment Plant. These issues are not major, but we do need to conduct an assessment and perform maintenance on the water intake pumps, and that work is underway now as we speak. And while these pump issues are not related to the performance of the feeder main, they do impact how much water we can flow from the 2 water treatment plants through the system. The maintenance work may impact the amount of water we are able to supply for the next couple of days. In addition to this, forecasted temperatures have changed, and we now expect that it will be hotter than originally anticipated. This level of heat is expected to cause increased water demand and place stress on the plant and the system. Based on our modeling, we believe we can still meet the anticipated demand at Stage 2 water restrictions. To support the system while the maintenance is completed and through the heat wave, we will be leaving the Stage 2 restrictions in place for today. We will reassess whether we are ready to move to the Stage 1 restrictions through the week, and we will bring an update to you on our revised plan. What this means is that we're asking you to continue to stick to the 1 hour per week sprinkler schedule for now and continue following the Stage 2 restrictions that were laid out last week. We appreciate that this may be a disappointment to those of you who were hoping to increase your lawn watering to 2 hours per week. I want to thank you for your continued patience and support managing water demand as we continue restoring our service. As I've shared with you for a number of weeks, we have learned a lot about this pipe over the last 6 weeks. We're actively working on a medium to long-term rehabilitation plan for the feeder main to address some of the areas we know require ongoing issues. We will incorporate additional information that we expect to receive by the end of the month, including the results of the pipe diver inspection, into our rehabilitation plan. Some of the plans that we're looking at include placing a liner inside the existing pipe, replacing additional segments of the pipe which have a lower structural capacity due to wire snaps, and exterior reinforcing of the pipe, or installing a new pipe. Developing this plan will take some time, but we're committed to providing updates in the coming weeks. Thank you for your time today and your continued support. For more details on what is allowed under Stage 2 water restrictions, frequently asked questions, and other information about this incident, please visit calgary.ca/restrictions. We'll provide our next live stream update at 2 p.m. tomorrow. Thank you.
As Michael just outlined, the monitoring of the feeder main and the entire water network remains very important for the coming days as we consider moving towards Stage 1 water restrictions and as we consider potentially turning on an additional pump at the Bearspaw facility. Going forward, the Water Services team will continue to provide daily updates through a 2 p.m. live stream, explaining the feeder main and network conditions, the status of outdoor water restrictions, details from pipe diver results, and the updates on medium to long-term repairs that will happen for pipe rehabilitation. The team's live stream will pick up tomorrow at 2 p.m., and I will be with you on Wednesday morning at 8:30 a.m. I take my responsibility as your mayor very seriously, and I promise to do everything I can to provide you with timely updates, as well as peace of mind about the water system that you use and rely upon each and every day. As I mentioned, your next update will be tomorrow at 2 p.m. from the Water Services team, and you can watch that live stream at calgary.ca/live. Thank you again for your understanding as we find ourselves in a situation where caution is needed. As always, be well, continue to be good water stewards, and please continue to take care of each other. With that, I'll turn things over to Jose to field questions from the media.
Thank you, Mayor. Scott Dibble with CBC. Just had questions about the pumps. Can you just provide a bit of context in terms of how many pumps and what are the issues at each location? Same issues?
Yeah, thanks for the question. So these are the raw water intake pumps, which are different than the pumps that we've been turning on to increase the flow through the pipe. And so the question was really about talking about the pumps and issues with the pumps. And like I said, these are the raw water intake pumps at the plant. So the pumps that are pulling water from the reservoir or from the river and into the water treatment plant. They're not the pumps that we've been slowly turning on at the Bears Paw water treatment plant to increase flow through the pipe. And as I indicated, it was really we believe the hot temperatures over the weekend caused additional stress on these pumps. There were some issues where they had turned off for a period of time late last night, and so we're doing some investigation work on them right now to figure out what happened, get them back up and running, and make sure that we can continue to supply the water demand that Calgarians have.
Sorry, just for context, how many pumps are there at each location?
I don't have the exact number of water intake pumps. We can get that for you though.
Do they just trip off then if they're overheating, for example, or whatever the issue is?
The issue late last night, was just like a pump you would have exactly. So the question was about what happens with the pump and what was the issue. And the issue really was that the pumps tripped a breaker. And so it's like you would have in your home when one of your breakers trips. We have larger breakers at our plants, and a similar situation where the breaker trips and we have to go and reset things and turn it back on. And so we'll be doing some investigation work this morning and some maintenance work on those pumps to make sure that they're ready to go to keep supplying the water demand that Calgarians have.
Aaron, live work, Calgary.
Yeah, about the wire snaps there, can you give us an indication where the wire snaps happened? Were they located in a certain area in the pipeline, or was it all the way along the pipeline itself?
Yeah, so questions about the number of wire snaps, and in total we've had 7 wire snaps since we brought this pipe back into service, and we've seen them happening throughout the length of the pipe, and so really distributed across the length of the pipe, which is why we're not concerned about individual wire snaps. Again, the pre-stressed wire wraps around each 16-foot segment of pipe 350 times, so one individual snap isn't a concern. It's when we have concentrations of snaps that we become concerned.
Jody, is there any concern maybe for council, given the fact that we're seeing higher temperatures leading to issues like these, climate change possibly causing greater issues to our water system in the future here?
I think the biggest thing we need to focus on right now is that we are in a water situation that was caused by a catastrophic break in our feeder main. Any of the outdoor restrictions that we have at this time are related to that break, and I am incredibly grateful to Calgarians for understanding why we remain under outdoor water restrictions. It's because we've been limiting our water use that we're able to make sure that we're meeting the demand for water right now.
Jaden with City News.
Is there any other areas of concern that the city is maybe looking at right now just to try to get ahead of things? I know that this has all been happening really fast, so just wondering if there's any other areas that the city's looking at.
So the question was really, are we looking at other areas? And I think the biggest piece we've talked about in the past has been we've completed an inspection, or we're in the process of completing an inspection of the entire 11 kilometers of this Bears Paw South feeder main. And so Calgarians will remember us talking about that. We used a device called the Pipe Diver, which was an inspection tool which ran that 11 kilometers. We'll be getting that information back at the end of the month, and we'll be looking at that information, and that will inform our medium to long-term rehabilitation plan for this piece of pipe. We're also out inspecting our water feeder network and our water distribution network. We have over 5,000 kilometers of pipe in the ground in our water system, and this year we'll be inspecting over 1,000 kilometers looking for leaks and working to repair those leaks.
Mr. Dipple. Michael, I know on Friday your officials said that we were producing a maximum of 680 million liters a day. So if yesterday it was 648, given this latest problem, how do we have enough capacity and have an emergency supply in case there's, major fire or a pipe break somewhere else in the system?
Thanks. So the question really was around our capacity to deal with emergencies that come up when we have issues like this at the plants. And that's really because of our extensive reservoir system that we have, our underground reservoirs throughout the city, which allow us to have an ample supply of water to deal with situations like this. And if you remember, that's why when we originally had the break in the Bears Paw feeder main, we were worried about the ability to fill those reservoirs up. And that's why we had put in restrictions to reduce the amount of water that we would have, so that we would have additional water for emergencies should they arise. And we're comfortable right now with the volume of water we have in our reservoirs that we can meet any emergencies that may come up while we're in stage 2 water restrictions.
And I know that it was mentioned on Friday with that water main break in Bowness that is unrelated to the feeder main issue, but because of what's been happening in the system for the past almost 2 months now, will we likely see more water main breaks over the course of the summer than we normally would because of everything that's been happening?
So the question really was around increased water main breaks across the city with the system restabilizing. And so as you'll recall, when we initially had the water main feeder break on June 5th, we spent a number of days changing the way water moved throughout the city, and that changed the pressures and the directions of flow of water throughout the city. So we are expecting to see additional water main breaks across the city as the system stabilizes. We've seen a slight uptake in the number of water main breaks across the city. Again, we typically can respond to these and repair these issues within 48 hours is our target. The one on Friday broke on Friday late afternoon, early evening, and we had water service restored Sunday afternoon. And so again, we can go out and repair these smaller lines quickly, restore water service, and it has a localized impact. And I'd like to thank all the residents and businesses that did have to put up with that water outage over the weekend. I appreciate your support as we work to restore the system.
Thank you, folks. We'll turn it back to Mayor Bonda to close.
I just want to thank everyone again for understanding the situation that we find ourselves in last night and in the early hours of this morning. We were very much hoping to be coming to you with an update that we could move to stage 1 restrictions, but obviously after careful monitoring and an update from the water services team, we remain in stage 2. Really appreciate you understanding why and continuing to exercise good judgment in your water use. And if you need any further information, please go to calgary.ca.